Welcome into the number one Group of Five football podcast in all of the world. This is the Group of Five guys. If you don't know who we are, our mission is to be the voice for the Group of Five football programs that the mainstream sports media absolutely refuses to be. We need everybody's help to do that. We need you to follow us on all the social platforms at Group of Five guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your best podcasts. Subscribe to the channel. Leave us a 5-star rating, leave a review, leave a comment, hit the like button. Most important thing you could do, tell your family and friends all about us. On this episode of Inside Drill, last week we had former Troy head coach John Summerall. This week we got new Troy head coach Gerad Parker joining us live. Hope you enjoy the show. Well, boys and girls, as we continue on our path of interviewing a ton of new Group of Five head coaches, we're on one probably, the guy with probably the most pressure coming in to fill the spot of a very successful one down at Troy. But we've got head coach of Troy, Gerad, by the way, is the correct pronunciation. We've got Coach Gerad Parker coming at us live from the Sunbelt meetings. Coach, thank you for joining the Group of Five guys.
Hey, thanks for having me. Your guys' reputation precedes itself.
Oh, I like it. Well, Coach, I want to get started with that. We had Coach Summerall on, last week, who's now, of course, at Tulane. But, well, him and you are probably the only two that are, coming in to a already successful, obviously Sunbelt champs back to back. So what's your mindset coming in as far as trying not to change too much, but also you want to establish your own culture?
Yeah, it's thanks for the addition of the pressure. We feel it. Hey, it's the reason you want to take the job. I mean, this is it's a job that has been put in a great position by Summerall and his staff, and because of this place, Troy has won. It's been a winner, and it's a special place. So it's why you want the job. My mindset, to be real candid with you, honestly, is like you have to. It's on my mind at all hours. You wake up in the morning thinking about it. You go to sleep thinking about it because you want to do the job justice. So to be real honest with you, it's like, but it gets you moving. I mean, it keeps you motivated. There's not real rest times for you to not think about it. It keeps you pushing, because you want to do the job the right way.
Yeah, and obviously you're coming from a place that has expectations no matter what. Coming from Notre Dame. So, that mindset, what do you take from Notre Dame as far as a, traditionally historic program, which in our minds, Troy is like that as well?
Yeah, I think it helped get me as much ready as you can be before you get this and you got to go do it. But being at a place like Notre Dame, it's the same thing. Like greatness and the standard in which you have to be there every day, like it'll expose you so fast. I've said that before in other interviews, and just people ask about Notre Dame. You'll get exposed if you're not ready to be around greatness. That's what that job taught me. And so if you have that and embrace it, you're able to embrace a place like Troy because that's the standard and the excellence is what they expect here too. So if anything, I think it gives you maybe a crash course in understanding what expectations are when they're high, how to maybe handle those. And then just give you maybe a better way of attacking it.
Coach, obviously, most people know your time at Notre Dame, but you played receiver at Kentucky. Would love to just hear kind of your journey as a player and how you got into coaching, and you've been in a handful of different spots.
Well, I'll be honest. My best times of playing and being a great player were in high school, and that's where it was. I had a great career at Kentucky and got to meet so many great teammates and coaches. And just kind of had an injury-plagued career that I wish maybe would have went better, but it also got me on a path to meet the people that affected my career the most in choosing the coaching profession, starting with Rich Brooks and Joker Phillips and Randy Sanders. I mean, those guys were pivotal in me getting my first jobs and teaching me the way. So I think for me, my path and what I'm doing now was largely affected in such a huge way by being at Kentucky. Playing career, I wish would have went a little bit better at times, but I got to meet a bunch of people. We had 3 new head coaches there while I was there, so it afforded me a lot of relationships that pay off now.
Now, were you on the same team as John Summerall?
I was. So the interesting fact would be that Neil and I were teammates for a year before Neil transferred to UMass. And then I was there a year before John came. So I was a little bit older than John, and John came onto the team. I think we were there 3 years together.
So now, how much do you talk to guys like that, or just other coach friends? We know how tight this coaching brotherhood and network is. When you're getting ready to go, from Notre Dame and in Indiana to down to a place like Troy, how many guys do you consult, or what do you talk about when you're looking at something like this?
Well, it's interesting. As I went on throughout your career, you kind of lower how many people you do talk to, because I think I made the mistake in years past. Sometimes you can call too many people. You're trying to make the right decisions for your family, for your career. And if you're not careful, you call so many people you respect, love, and trust, and everybody's got a different answer, or a lot of people may have different views of it. And sometimes it can kind of muddy the water for you too much. So I kept this one pretty tight. I mean, there's specific people, wife first, right? That you reach out and talk to and figure out things. And then I made a couple calls to the people that I trust the most, and went with hopefully making a great decision. And that's how we got to this one. So I think you just tighten your circle up the older you get because of that.
Yeah. Now you mentioned your wife, and you got children, right, Coach?
Oh yeah, 4 of them.
So what's their mindset? And now listen, now we've been to Troy a few times, and I know, we talked about the Carson family before the show, but the people of Troy are incredible, and the little downtown square is a good spot. So what's the family's thoughts on Troy so far?
And this is not a cliche answer. Like, we have absolutely loved it. Getting them here was critical. They're already in Troy Elementary School, rocking it and figuring it out, and already doing the rec league softball, baseball deal. Like, they love it. Like, we're from, everybody thinks South Bend, Indiana, and my wife and I are both from 2 little small towns in eastern Kentucky, and so, and I knew that. I'd been to Troy enough to know that it would fit us. I mean, it's a blue-collar town. It's an edgy place, about the work, with great people, people that want to take care of you, see you do well, and love Troy. That's what that place is about. And I really believed it would fit us, and it has shown to do so, and then some. It fits who I am and who we are and how we grew up. And I really believe, for that reason, it's the right fit for us. It's a place that we're extremely happy at. Like, I wake up in the morning, I'm happy, and our family's the same way, and it fits who we are. And I can't wait to continue to throw ourselves in the community, because they've been so good to us.
That's awesome. Yeah, Troy, we love it every time we go down there. So you've been there a couple months now. How did spring ball go? What did it look like when you guys started, and how does it look when you guys finished up?
Well, again, you guys will laugh at me, but nobody who gets asked how spring ball went ever says no. It didn't go.
Yeah.
Here's why I'll say it went well. We got to learn our football team. They got to learn who we were. We worked really hard at connecting with the guys. I think it would be fair to say that when we came in, they really didn't trust us just yet. They're trying to figure things out, and that's fair. I begged them each and every day, just meet us halfway. Open up your hearts and let us in day by day and just see what you think. And by the end of this spring, I felt like that had happened, and there was no better feeling than that. That was the first time I really sat back at the end of spring and thought, damn, that felt good. I'm just happy with where our team is, with where our staff is, and could be more proud to earn the respect of that group.
Well, Coach, you mentioned the relationships that you built at Kentucky and the schools that you've coached at. You've coached with a lot of great coaches at the schools that you've been at. Is there anything that you've learned from any of those coaches, or anything that you're implementing and using in your coaching style or your coaching philosophy?
I would say yes, to every stop. Like, I know we're on a little bit of time, but I would work backwards and think with Marcus Freeman, just his patience to grow and push a staff to grow, and managing all things that are Notre Dame. Something that I'm hoping I can model enough. Over to Neil at West Virginia, and his, like, the first word I think of with Neil is details, 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 and then to James Franklin, which was by far and away, like, how to brand, recruit, and sell, and have such a great detailed plan together, down to David Cutcliffe in football vocabulary and program. Like, he was unbelievable at that, and then you go back to Doc Holliday, like Doc at Marshall, like that was he did it a lot how Urban had done it, and to be in that model and know how Urban and ran a program, and to see Doc do it there was a blessing. And then Jason Simpson at UT Martin, who's still there and killing it. Probably just mine for him would have been that he just completely delegated and let us do stuff at a young age. Like, he let me do jobs at a young age that he should have never let me do. But he let us grow, and he's hired staff after staff and people after people who went on to be very successful. So I know that's lengthy, but all of them had an impact.
Love that. Well, Coach, from a more specific, a football specific point. So you're an offensive guy. You're an offensive coordinator at your last stop. And then Troy, the last few years, has been really, I mean, they've really won due to defense, and the offense is just, it's been fine, but it's been a defensive team. So how do you, improve the offense? And then, but, we want this defense to be pretty damn good still too. So how do you kind of balance out the both of those as more of an offensive guy?
Yeah, you quickly become, I guess I don't have it figured out yet. But I hope in 5 years when we talk 5 years from now, I think you have to be careful. Like, the first answer is we better play damn good defense, and we're going to. And I want to be involved, and will be involved enough to make sure we get there and trust our coaches. The other thing I think it's important to me is I've got to continue to add value as a football coach, because in my mind, like, that's what's got me the job. So I've got to add value as a coach in special teams and offensive play and some in defense, but let those guys be the experts and be heavily involved to make sure we're there. But I'm going to continue to coach in special teams and offense and all of it, because that's, to me, it has to be a strength for me, and it has to be something that I continue to add value, because, again, that's what put me in this chair. So we're going to I'm learning that. That's going to be a piece to me growing. But I'm certainly going to be right there with our defense to make sure we add all the things we have to do scheme-wise and approach to make sure we play great defense, because you're exactly right. That's been the stability to this place, and we've got to continue it.
Especially in the Sun Belt Conference, that's just an absolute gauntlet week in and week out. Gunnar Watson's been the guy the last couple of years. He's obviously gone to the NFL now. How's the quarterback room shaping up? And offensively, what kind of scheme do you want to run?
Well, it's good. I think off the record, I'll be able to tell you more on it. To be respectful of everything and everybody, we'll keep it that way here. But I feel really good about it. I wish we had more depth. We went through the entire spring with 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Which is unheard of in my career, but not anymore. But I feel great about the room, and I feel great about where it's headed. We've got enough talent there to win games. Schematically, which is a great question, we're going to be as multiple as it gets, and I'm not dodging it. But I think you'll see us in a lot of ways as to what we did at Notre Dame.
We lost him for a second. Y'all still got him?
Yep. Nope.
Hopefully I'll hop back in. We can just keep it rolling. I can clip it together.
Yeah. I'm gonna text Adam and see if there he is.
There he is.
I don't know what happened. Can y'all hear me?
Yep. We got you back.
Yep.
Sorry, guys.
No worries. It happens.
No, you're good. Yeah, you're.
And I can
fun
cut
fact.
it
One thing you're doing better than John Summerall right now with your internet and tech ability. So
let's keep kicking.
Congrats on that. So how do you want to split that, Jeff?
Yeah, he can just pick up wherever you want.
Last thing you said.
Start on offensive scheme.
Yeah. That's perfect.
Perfect.
Good to go.
Yep.
Whenever you're ready.
Yes, with our offensive scheme, I would see us as a lot of what we did at Notre Dame. I wouldn't say like blueprint exactly, but I do think there's something to playing in 11 personnel, 12 personnel, 13 personnel on early downs. You'll see that from us. I just think it's hard to prepare for. I think we've got some personnel that matches us in a lot of ways that we're learning about our team. But it'll be run the football, run it at people's face, and make sure we create explosives. I mean, I want our personality. I still want y'all to come to our games and say, damn, these guys play hard. They play physical. They play a good brand of football. And that's what we want to put out on a weekly basis, and that's what we will put out.
Love it. Well, Coach, I do have – I always ask the weight room questions. And, you know, you ended up losing Rusty Witt, who was a great one, and there's still definitely something in the water at Troy. I mean, these guys come out, I hate to use the cliche, but built different. And you brought in, well, I don't even know if he's the head strength coach, but you got this guy, Heckenberg or something like that. I never seen anything like it. I mean, he's the biggest guy I've ever seen. How did you find him?
All right, so listen, this dude, he is huge. He is the biggest man that I've ever been around in my life. Daryl Bauer so Coach Bauer comes in to follow. And we do know Rusty did a fine job there at Troy, and we find Daryl. I really got lucky with it. I got a couple phone calls from two people I trust a lot, and they couldn't have been more right. Daryl Bauer is special. He's done it at the Power 5 level and just came over to us from Houston. Well, in his time at Houston, he developed a relationship with the Texans and that staff. John Heck is with the Texans, and his dad is the O-line coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, you know, and so he played at Carolina. I mean, he's been in it, and he wanted to get back into developing, you know, men and players and get down in there and grind in the weight room because he still does it clearly. So he kind of got the call and they talked, and he wanted to make the jump back down to us and came over, and it's been awesome because our linemen love working out with him. There's already kind of a street cred mentality because of just his stature in general, and then he just happens to be this soft-spoken, awesome teacher that has really helped us nutritionally and in the weight room, especially with our bigs.
Yeah, I'm telling y'all, if y'all don't follow the guy on Instagram yet, it's a heck of a follow, if you will. Coach, one last thing, and we'll let you take off. So we kind of talked before the show, but there's the raging debate about this separate Group of 5 playoff. Now, Troy, if there was a 12-team playoff the last couple of years, might have found their way in this thing. So what are your thoughts? Do you think there needs to be a separation? Where do you stand?
I don't know if I have a strong enough opinion to get you guys fired up on it. I know that there's like an impulse to want to say, well, there's a separation and there's going to be this big divide looming anyway, many believe, you know. So I think it's an awesome thing to bring up, especially for what you all are doing for our game and for our conference. And I mean that. Like, I think it's a real conversation if things go certain ways that it could be a really cool thing for Group of 5 football. So I would say that I'm an advocate of the conversation because of where things are headed, and it'd be pretty cool to have it because I love what this conference is about. I could also see being stubborn initially and trying to find a way to go in there and prove yourself if you do make the 12 team and go in there and be stubborn and try to muck it up a little bit and see if we can't ruin some days, you know. So I think both is the challenge. We understand where it's all headed and things. There's a lot of question marks right now. I think it's awesome y'all get to talk about it on a daily basis, though.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, that was a very rational thought. You know,
it was.
We tend to get pretty emotional about it. You know, you hear all the mainstream sports guys with their opinions, and so we feel like we got to defend. You know, we feel like we got to come to the aid of the Group of 5, which is, you know, it's why we exist in the first place. But
well, part of it too, I think, is the former athlete in us. Like, we always want to compete and have a shot at the title, right? Like that's what you play for too. But I think there's somewhere in between. I think you can. Smarter people than us can figure it out, but I hope anyways, because it'd be nice to still have a shot at it, but have something to where, you know, the Group of 5 can compete and do some cool things.
I agree. I think it I'll bring out my Kentucky deal. You know, I think about how they did the basketball system. So the basketball, you still win it all in the state of Kentucky, but they have a Class A state championship within the year. So maybe the model could be, if you still get in, you get in, but if not, everybody else that didn't, you get, you know what I mean? Like there's got to be something there, but like you said, maybe it's something for a lot of other people to get in the room that are more intelligent than me.
We'll see. It seems like the ones driving it are the money hungry guys, so maybe they're not the ones to figure it out. Who knows?
I was going to say, Jeff, I was going to let Coach leave before I said this, but since you brought it up, I was going to say the problem is I don't think it is the smarter people making the decisions. So that's the issue we got here. But anyway, Coach, man, we can't thank you enough for coming on. We know you're down there at the conference meetings, you know, talking trash or being friendly, whatever your style is down there. But we can't thank you enough. And to all the people at Troy, you know, it's a special place for all of us. And so I'm glad, you know, they're welcome to you guys and your family. But Coach Gerad Parker, head coach at Troy, thank you so much, man.
Appreciate you guys. Cheers. Come see us soon.
Absolutely.
Well, what do we think, boys? Is Troy going to three-peat in the Sun Belt?
I think they got a chance. Yeah. I really like Coach Parker. I think he's got a good philosophy. It sounds like all the things he's learned from the different stops would contribute to him being a really good head coach. Yeah. Just kind of highlighting, you know, what he learned from each place, and especially like I love when head coaches let their coordinators like coordinate essentially, and they don't micromanage their coordinators. And it sounds like, you know, obviously offensively he's probably going to have more of a say, but he's going to let Coach Wright do what he's going to do on defense. Obviously he'll have some say, but you know, I think the biggest thing for them is, can they replace everything that they've lost to the NFL? That's really it. I mean, replacing a Kamani Vidal, replacing Javon Solomon. I mean, Gunnar Watson's gone. You know, we had our opinions about him, but say what you want, the guy was a 2-year starter, so it's just a lot to replace. But if anybody can reload on talent, it's Troy.
That's right. Well, yeah, they've always been able to get guys. You know, it's been a good program. So it's not like Coach Summerall came in there and you know, raised Troy from the dead. You know, they had some down years, but Troy's always been a really good program. Now you're right, Jeff. I think you lost some guys. You know, but at the same time, I will say this. I do remember talking to a lot of fans and a lot of people down at Troy last year when we were there, and them and, you know, per some of the old coaching staff, they thought year 3 was going to be the year, and they kind of overachieved that first year and then even last year. So, you know, you just got to see how it plays out. Now, again, I want to be realistic, and for the Troy faithful out there, for you guys to be realistic, let's also not forget that the West is going to be a lot better too this year, whether or not Troy is or not. Texas State ought to take a big leap this year. You know, South Alabama was supposed to be good last year. They're going to be very good this year. So that's something you got to look at too. You got to look at everybody. Everybody's improving. Everybody's catching up to what, you know, Troy has been the last 2 years.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll say too is, you know, talking about I mean, I think you just got to be realistic, because regardless of how you look at it, like you're replacing almost all your production on offense. Because I don't have confirmed this yet, but I'm not sure Chris Lewis is going to be back. You know, he's got some serious medical stuff going on, and then, you know, so that's your top receiver, your running back, who was one of the top running backs in the country. And I could say Gunnar Watson. And then, you know, a lot of guys went to Tulane. You had a lot of guys leaving the portal. Now they've got some guys that have come in, and we'll see how deep that roster really was. Like you mentioned, a lot of guys said year 3 for this Troy team was the team. And then if you look at their schedule, Troy faithful it's front loaded. It's very heavy off the front. I mean, you got Nevada at home. That should be a good game, you know, tune it up. But then you go at Memphis, which Memphis is going to be really good. At Iowa, which they're a Big Ten team. They play really physical. Then you come back home, Florida A&M, you know, Monroe. But then you get Texas State at home, which is a big thing. You get a bye week going into South Alabama. So it's, the Sun Belt's a gauntlet already.
Yeah.
But those Memphis, Iowa back-to-back, that is a tough 2-week stretch.
The good news there, though, is out of the East, they do avoid App State and James Madison.
They do.
So that's a win for them. But they got Coastal, they got Georgia Southern. That Arkansas State team might be pretty good this year,
I think
too.
they're going to be better.
So we'll see, man. But I like this. I like his take on the playoff was solid. You don't usually hear like just a well thought out, rational take, but I think that was it, and that's probably the right answer, somewhere in the middle there. So we shall see. But anyway, can't thank Coach Parker enough. Can't thank Adam, all the folks down at Troy for helping us out. You guys have been supporters for a long time of this thing. So
shout out Trojans.
Yeah, and hey, while we got if you're just listening, we're wearing the Trojans Together collective polos. If you're a local business there in Troy or anywhere in that South Alabama area, go on the website. I think it's just TrojansTogetherCollective.com, I believe, or I'm sure you could Google it and find it.
It'll come right up.
And see if you can link up with some of those guys, Jason and Chuck down there, and in order to help Coach Parker out, when it comes to recruiting and keeping some of the guys on that roster. But anyway, another coach that I like. We hadn't had one that I don't like yet.
It's true.
I don't think. Now maybe the ones we don't like are the ones that are not responding to DMs and not coming on. No, man. But we can't thank Coach Parker enough. Can't thank you guys enough for watching, for listening. If you like the show, make sure you follow us on all the social media platforms at Group of Five Guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your best podcasts. Subscribe to the channel. Give us a 5-star rating and a review. Most importantly, tell your family and friends all about us. I think we've got, just at the start of this new year, we've had, I don't know how many coaches or athletic directors we've had on already. We've been rolling just about every week. We've been putting a good interview out, and that's on top of our regularly scheduled programming on Tuesday nights. So we appreciate everybody for listening. We've been busy. Guys, spring ball's over. Don't blink, because it's right around the corner. They've been announcing the week 1 TV schedules. We're out today. By the way, I know this is an interview and this is not the regular show, but can we just for 1 second talk about something that I witnessed today?
Go for it.
The Big Noon Fox show has announced like 3 games already. And they announced like week 1 and week 2 and whatever. That's fine. They've already announced final week of the season that they will be at the Michigan-Ohio State game, which I don't know, call me crazy, but I was told that if you had a Big Ten on your chest, you were competing for a national title and you were playing the same sport. You were all playing the same brand of football. But we know already today, 6 months in advance, and I don't disagree. I mean, I'm not saying they're wrong, but we know today that the winner of that game's probably making the playoff. So I don't know, man. You just tell me how
it's
good
funny how that works, huh?
The Big Ten is. You guys just let me know. All I know is the Illinois-Maryland game and the Rutgers-Michigan State game on the final week of the season are not going to be probably even on TV.
No, they won't. Big Ten Network maybe, but Sprouse, you're counting your chickens here, because that's banking that Fresno State doesn't go over to Ann Arbor and whip Michigan's ass.
Hey, Fresno State's like, what are they? 3 or 4-0 in their last 4 against the former
I think they lost to
Pac-12,
Oregon State. I think they lost to Oregon State.
2 or 3. This was not last year.
Was it not?
Was it?
I thought it was.
I thought
last
they
year.
went 2-0 against the Power 5 last year.
Maybe. I know it was when Hayner was there and he got banged up and left the game. So it might have been
Mikey
2 years
Keene
ago.
came in, or
Yeah.
Hayner was 2 years ago. Keene was last year, but Keene, remember, got hurt last year too. So I can't
Who
remember.
came in? Fife.
Yeah, Fife.
Logan.
Yeah, Logan
Fife.
Fife. Is that who it was?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Anyways,
that's besides the point. This was a Troy interview. Appreciate you guys listening. Follow us on the socials. Subscribe to the channels. Tell your family and friends about us. We're out of here.